Welcome back to the programme. Now, jobs, jobs, jobs. It is very much the mantra mouthed by politicians of every political persuasion. Still, though, no one can definitively say if the government's really created those promised 75,000 new jobs, care of its stimulus package. Indeed, it is a platitude that's decidedly putrid if you've just been laid off or are fighting to survive the scythe being brandished by companies across any sector you care to mention. With me to take the discussion now beyond the retrenchment and downsizing statistics, I'm joined by Phil Guest. Phil, great to have you with us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let's just assume for one moment I've just lost my job.
Yes.
I'm in the finance sector. I've got a little bit of experience to my name. But of course, that sector is doing awfully right this moment. I mean, that's the perception at least. How do you tailor things for the appropriate moment we're in now, which is a dire moment? How do you adjust your whole application process?
Yeah, I think first you've probably got to pull out your CV and have a look at that. Many people that are in financial services have been in there for some time and haven't changed jobs for a long time. So I think first thing to do is to pull out your CV, dust it off, update it.
Yeah.
You will have picked up skills that you should put on it. And then begin to just have a think about the types of skills you have and the types of industries that might apply to. Which may not necessarily be financial services. They might be in consumer goods or in other sectors like industrials or other areas where those types of skills can be applied.
Is dusting off a CV as straightforward and frankly, Phil, boring as a couple of sides of A4 paper? What about an online presence? Is that something you would tell people? Direct people via an online portal, make yourself sellable in the interactive sense?
I think that's an idea, and it's a good idea. I think having a number of different avenues and areas where you continue to network, continue to meet potential employers or colleagues or peers is very, very important. So I wouldn't rule that out, but I think definitely a CV is the key document.
You try and steal a march as well. Do you kind of think laterally and say, right, I'm available as a contracted, never mind if there's no full-time work out there. Tell me how doable that is when it comes to paying the bills as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a critical thing, first and foremost, the critical priority is to get a job or to regain employment. So I think considering different types of employment like contracting or like specific fixed-term contracts is a way of getting yourself back in the workforce, also broadening your skill base as well, being able to demonstrate, I'll go and do this job for a short period. I can show you that I've got the skills that are required for that role permanently.
How do you stay visible? I mean, I guess the idea of getting out to events, industry events, networking and pressing the flesh. But if you're not on the payroll, how do you get the invite?
I think there's industry bodies, depending on which particular industry you're in or specialisation or profession you have. There's plenty of industry networking sessions. There's plenty of organisations that put these network and seminar sessions together. I think you've got to pick and choose those because you could go out every night to all sorts of different sessions. But I think pick the right ones, pick the ones that you think are applicable and get out there. Everyone
is sort of selling the idea, and from vested interest points of view, of higher education, of taking time out now, going off and doing an MBA, doing sort of something in that realm to make yourself sellable longer term. Is that a proposition that you find employers looking for now? Because in a way, is that not going to pull a member of staff away from the core business if they're kind of half their mind is on their MBA, even if they're doing it part-time?
I think it's a timing thing. I think if you happen to be out of a job for a longer period of time, you would consider further education or further skills development. I think if you find that you're able to get a contracting role or another permanent role quickly, then I would definitely focus on that first and foremost, but it's always good to develop skills and continue to educate yourself.
So employers have not moved away. The psychology is still, yes, that's a valuable qualification.
Absolutely, and I think employers, interestingly enough, are taking this opportunity to identify skills that they were unable to retain, let's say 6 months ago. And there are some outstanding skills in the marketplace.
They can cherry pick at will.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's stay in that employer space briefly. We need to rush through this in a sense. But assuming I've just let a third of my team go, the morale is shot within the organisation. How do you build on that? How do you actually tell people? How do you bring about that transparency that they know that they're not going to be next?
Well, that word transparency is key. I think communication is absolutely critical, and being transparent around where their business is at, where your business is at, the future direction of your business for a longer a medium to longer term
Do
period.
you know that, Phil, though? Can you know that in this environment?
Not necessarily, but I think that also just explaining how difficult it is to predict the future growth of your business in this environment helps employees understand what the company's going through. So I think that transparency is very, very important.
Does part of that transparency mean also showing a willingness to open the books on what I, as a top CEO or executive, are getting, so that there's an appreciation and there's not this bad blood circulating about there's a pay freeze in one part of the company, but hey, they're still earning top bickies at the top?
I think possibly that transparency revolves a little bit around that, definitely. I think most businesses are hurting across the board, and I think including the CEO. So I think it is a shared problem. So yeah, I think being a bit more transparent around that is helpful. Briefly,
finally, you were in here last year. The environment with the exodus from the UK, the US of workers coming back home looking for work. How's that playing out now? Are they stealing jobs for those who are getting retrenched here, or is there a happy medium that's
I think we're still seeing a flow of candidates from the US and the UK. It's not an enormous number, but we're still seeing a good flow of high quality candidates from those two markets as a result of the problems they're experiencing over there.